Hello MotoGP fans. Welcome back to ZNGP Today. The 2027 rider market is heating up fast. With Ducati expected to extend Marc Márquez and potentially sign Pedro Acosta, Francesco Bagnaia could find himself without a factory seat, and now Aprilia is making a serious push. MotoGP's decision to leave Phillip Island after 2026 has sparked debate across Australia. While legends like Casey Stoner criticized the move, Jack Miller has stepped forward to defend the switch to Adelaide. The decision to remove Phillip Island from the MotoGP calendar after 2026 has sparked strong reactions, and none louder than Casey Stoner. The Australian legend did not hold back in criticizing the move to Adelaide. MotoGP's move from Phillip Island to Adelaide in 2027 is more than a venue change, it's a strategic statement. For the first time in its modern era, the championship will open a new chapter on a fully urban circuit. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. The first domino is about to fall in Borgo Panigale. Marc Márquez is widely expected to renew with Ducati for 2027 and 2028. Alongside that, reports indicate Pedro Acosta could also join the factory squad. If confirmed, that would leave current teammate Francesco Bagnaia without a seat in red. "I believe I am a frontline rider, and that's where my ambition takes me," quote Bagnaia in Sepping. With that statement, Bagnaia effectively ruled out any satellite options, including a potential move to VR46, signaling that only a factory-level project fits his vision. Initially, Yamaha appeared to be the strongest destination. The Iwata factory is restructuring its future around a competitive V4 project and had been exploring a lineup featuring the last two champions prior to Márquez's Ducati era. Names like Jorge Martin and Bagnaia together in blue created a powerful narrative. However, Aprilia has re-entered the conversation, aggressively. "Once that priority is established, we'll see how the market evolves," quote Massimo Rivola. Massimo Rivola, CEO of Aprilia Racing, has made it clear the door is open. Behind the scenes, improved financial terms and a stronger sporting pitch have reportedly been presented to Bagnaia's camp. One of Aprilia's most compelling arguments is emotional, not just technical. The possibility of pairing Bagnaia with Marco Bezzecchi, two leading Italian riders and academy products, would represent a national powerhouse lineup. The RSGP is currently seen as one of the most competitive bikes on the grid, arguably ahead of Yamaha's developing V4. There are interesting scenarios, but if Aprilia continues to demonstrate its growth, good riders will arrive. Aprilia's message is clear: performance plus patriotism. Reuniting two Italian stars under one Italian brand would send a powerful signal to the championship. Time is the biggest pressure factor. Once Ducati officially confirms Márquez's extension, the rider market will accelerate rapidly. Yamaha will likely push hard for a final decision, and Aprilia cannot afford hesitation. Bagnaia's camp, led by Gianluca Falcioni, is weighing prestige, competitiveness, financial terms, and long-term stability. The moment Ducati speaks, the 2027 grid could begin locking into place within days. Aprilia's late surge has turned Bagnaia's future into one of the biggest stories of the 2027 market. Yamaha offers structure. Aprilia offers sentiment and current competitiveness. Ducati is moving on. The next announcement may not just reshape one rider's career, it could redefine the balance of power in MotoGP's next era. After decades as one of the most iconic venues on the calendar, Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit will host its final Australian Grand Prix in 2026. From 2027 onward, MotoGP heads to a brand new street circuit in Adelaide. The change has divided opinion. Two-time world champion Casey Stoner openly questioned the decision. But current Australian star Jack Miller took a more pragmatic stance. everyone will be deeply disappointed. Phillip Island has long been a favorite circuit for the riders. It was an emotional acknowledgement. The sweeping high-speed layout, ocean backdrop, and racing history made Phillip Island one of the most beloved tracks in MotoGP. But nostalgia alone wasn't enough to secure its future. Critics immediately questioned the safety of a street circuit replacing one of the sport's fastest permanent tracks. Miller, who attended the official unveiling, addressed those concerns directly. Working alongside MotoGP's sporting director Carlos Ezpeleta and the championship's safety commission, the new layout was designed with modern data and crash analysis in mind. There will be no concrete barriers or air fences within touching distance. According to Miller, MotoGP now relies on extensive G-force data, impact simulations, and rider feedback to determine runoff areas, gravel depth, and barrier placement. His message was clear: the Adelaide project is built around safety first, spectacle second. One of Phillip Island's biggest challenges wasn't the racing, it was the climate. Sudden temperature drops, fierce southern winds, and unpredictable rain often complicated race weekends. Miller didn't hide from that reality. It's no secret that the weather on Phillip Island is unpredictable. Adelaide, by contrast, promises stable November heat and consistent conditions. For teams managing tire allocation and bike setup, predictability could be a competitive advantage, and for fans, a more comfortable experience. Beyond safety and weather, economics ultimately drove the decision. Traveling to Phillip Island requires flights to Melbourne, car rentals, accommodation on the island, and significant logistical planning. Miller spoke candidly about the burden on families. It's cheaper to go to Malaysia, simply because the circuit is right next to the airport. That comparison with Sepang International Circuit was striking. For many Australians, attending a MotoGP race overseas can cost less than attending their home Grand Prix. Adelaide's city centre location aims to change that dynamic, offering walkable access, easier flights, and lower overall expenses. The farewell to Phillip Island will be emotional. But as MotoGP shifts toward accessibility, safety, and financial sustainability, Adelaide represents the championship's future direction. For Jack Miller, it's not just about preserving tradition, it's about making sure Australian fans can actually be part of it. For many riders and fans, this is more than just a racetrack, it's a symbol of pure MotoGP racing. But from 2027, the Australian Grand Prix will relocate to. The news triggered an immediate reaction from two-time world champion. MotoGP is removing Phillip Island from its calendar. One of the world's greatest motorcycle circuits is being sidelined in favor of a race in Adelaide. The emotion was unmistakable. For Stoner, the move is not just a logistical decision, it's the loss of what he considers one of the sport's crown jewels. Phillip Island has long been praised for its flowing layout, blind corners, dramatic elevation changes, and the ever-present ocean winds that test rider instinct. Corners like Lukey Heights and the famous Turn 3, now named after Stoner, have become iconic. The Australian legend questioned the championship's priorities. Why should MotoGP eliminate from its calendar what is perhaps its best circuit? I'll let everyone be the judge. That statement goes beyond nostalgia. It challenges MotoGP's strategic direction, suggesting that commercial and logistical factors are outweighing pure sporting heritage. Stoner's bond with Phillip Island is personal and historic. Between 2007 and 2012, he won 6 consecutive Australian Grands Prix there, a level of dominance rarely seen in modern MotoGP. He shares the same number of Premier-class wins at the circuit as, while fellow Australian legend also etched his name into its history. It has produced some of the most spectacular and entertaining racing we've ever witnessed. For Stoner, Phillip Island rewarded natural riding feel, the ability to drift, adapt to wind, and generate grip in unconventional ways. It wasn't just fast. It was demanding, technical, and raw. While Phillip Island struggled with accessibility, weather volatility, and infrastructure limitations, it consistently delivered thrilling racing. Attendance numbers were among the lowest of the season, and reaching the island often proved costly and complex for fans. Meanwhile, riders have aligned themselves with MotoGP's future vision, one centered around accessibility and urban engagement. But for Stoner, the emotional loss outweighs the practical arguments. "I'll let everyone be the judge." And that may be the real debate, tradition versus transformation. Phillip Island's final Grand Prix in 2026 will now carry even greater significance. For Casey Stoner, it's not just another race, it's the farewell to a circuit that defined his career. From 2027, Adelaide will open a new chapter. But for many, the heart of Australian MotoGP will always belong to Phillip Island. The shift from Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit to a street circuit in Adelaide marks one of the most significant transformations in recent MotoGP history. Under the leadership of Dorna Sports, now rebranded as MotoGP Sports Entertainment following the acquisition by Liberty Media, the championship is repositioning itself commercially and globally. What we're looking for are venues that meet the required standards and that we believe are worthy of hosting a MotoGP Grand Prix. The farewell to Phillip Island is painful. The circuit's sweeping layout, ocean backdrop, and unpredictable weather have produced some of the most spectacular races in the sport's history. But nostalgia collided with practical challenges: low attendance figures, limited infrastructure, rising safety investment costs, and complex logistics. The final Sunday crowd barely reached 40,000 spectators. Two-time world champion Casey Stoner voiced what many traditionalists feel. For purists, this is sacrilege. For executives, it's evolution. Adelaide will become the first fully urban circuit on the MotoGP calendar. Parts of the layout revive sections used by Formula One between 1985 and 1995, bringing World Championship racing back into the heart of a major city. The political and economic backing from South Australia's government played a decisive role. The Victorian government's refusal to relocate the race to Melbourne's Albert Park effectively opened the door for Adelaide's proposal. Safety, however, remains the central question. Adelaide will be safer than many of the permanent circuits we visit throughout the year. As Paletta insists that safety calculations are based on FIA and FIM standards, enhanced by advanced simulation tools, including software developed by the University of Padua, with an additional 10% safety margin built into the design. Beyond Australia, the move sends a message to global promoters. MotoGP is open to major urban projects backed by strong financial investment. The championship wants accessibility, spectacle, and integration within metropolitan environments. For Liberty Media, the strategy mirrors its Formula One approach, bringing races closer to city centers and expanding commercial opportunities. Internally, this is considered the first major strategic operation of the post-acquisition era. Externally, it's a bold signal that tradition alone will not dictate the calendar's future. The departure from Phillip Island will be emotional. The arrival in Adelaide will be ambitious. Between nostalgia and modernization lies MotoGP's new identity. Whether Adelaide becomes a triumph or a controversy will depend on execution. But one thing is clear: this is not just a circuit change, it's a turning point in the championship's global strategy. Thanks for watching ZNGP Today, and this is your MotoGP news update. And see you next time!